Hey guys, Professor Bell, Comic Book University, and Lois Lane, issue number 4 of 12. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this comic book is going to get a whole lot better once they finally decide to stop trying to tie in everything else that happens. Dude, the Superman comic book doesn't tie in with the Action Comics book, does it? Or with the Justice League book, does it? None of these books really tie in with each other that much. Maybe a little editor's note here and there. Not really a lot, right? That's what this book is mostly suffering from right now, in my opinion. You got to stop trying to tie in with everything else. Just do a Lois Lane book and act like the rest of the world doesn't exist. That's the way that Brian Michael Bendis does things. Why does Greg Rucka, of all people, have to follow Bendis? Anyway, I'm going to tell you 5 things about this book after I tell you about who made the book. So let's get started with Enemy of the People, Part 4. Greg Rucka is the writer. Mike Perkins on art. Paul Mounts doing those colors, Simon Boland doing the letters, Emanuela Lupacino and Romulo Ferraro Jr. doing the variant cover, and who cares who created Superman? This isn't supposed to be a Superman book. It's supposed to be a Lois Lane book, and that's what I wanted to read, damn it. Let's talk about number 1 in this book. Dwelling on Incest. Look, man, I'm just saying, I have never caught my mom in a compromising position like that. Neither has she ever caught me in a compromising position like that. And thank God, because I don't know what I would do besides just, like, I don't get embarrassed very often. But something like that, I'd probably completely freak out and be like, ah! And, like, just my mind would go someplace else. You know what I'm saying? Be like, I will leave the shell of this body behind and my mind will just attain a higher form where I can now travel the astral plane because F this mortal coil. Wow, that is just disgusting. You know what I'm saying? And here it is, freaking John is trying to help dress his mom. Dude, run away! Run away! Get out of here! Like, oh my God. She can put her own clothes on. What the hell? Ew! Ew! And freaking ew. By the way, ew. Anyway, let's talk about number 2 in this. Ew! Now I'm ready to talk about number 2 on this book. Her telling John, sure, you could just go off into the future, 1,000 years and fight with this new thing when you're fighting in space and you can't actually breathe and you got to use a mouth protector and blah, 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 blah. Come on, man. Like, she was just way too damn cool with this. She missed crucial years of her son's life while he, like, if we're tying this in, okay? He was trapped by the evil Superman from the Syndicate, for how many years now? How many years was it? It seemed like only 2 or 3 weeks to her. But to him, like, he's got to have all sorts of freaking psychological problems manifesting. And now he's going to go off into the future to hang out with these guys who say that they're cool, but nobody knows who these people are. Nobody knows who these people are. I know a bunch of people talk about, well, actually, if you read the New 52, read it. Well, if you read post-Christ, read it. Well, and pre-crisis, no, read it. Well, Jim Shooter did. Talk to him about it after I read it. Yeah, go on. What do you want to say about it? Because every time that they reboot the universe, nobody knows each other. So, yeah, no, and by the way, that's a Professor Bill original right there. I might actually make that into a real song one of these days. The point is, nobody knows each other. They don't know the Legion of Superheroes. They just don't. Has there been Legion of Superheroes in Rebirth? No. Then guess what? They don't know each other. Okay, we're good. Let's talk about number 3 on this list. You can't handle the truth. Yeah, now's when the comic book actually starts to get good, because we're forgetting about all that nonsense and we're just doing the Lois Lane story. Dude, the hell with freaking Superboy. Piss off, Naked Boy. Go away. To hell with Superman. Dude, piss off, dude. This ain't your book. You got plenty of other books out there. You're in Justice League, you're in Action Comics, you're in Superman, you're in freaking whatever. You're just in Naomi recently. You got incarnations of yourself all over the place. Piss off. I want a Lois Lane book. Okay? You want to talk about Superman once in a while? Sure. I don't even want to see him in the comic book. I just want a Lois Lane book where she goes off and she does awesome things, awesome Lois Lane things by herself. It's about damn time we had a Lois Lane book again. Can we just do that, please? Can we please just do that? The book is getting great whenever it's just doing this, when it's doing the Renee Montoya stuff. And there's another question here, too. There are 2 questions, no answers. I love that. I think that's the title of the next issue also. Let's talk about number 4 on this list. Crap, I kind of broke into it. 2 questions. We actually get origins, like how we lost what do you call it? Sage, and how Victor Sage actually isn't in this one. So there's a third question off in the what the hell is that Brian Michael Bendis book? Leviathan, where Superman's also in there. Technically, so is Lois Lane, but she really shouldn't be because this is stupid. Switch Lois Lane with freaking Barry Allen, for crying out loud. Anyway, yeah, we've got questions asking questions of each other, but we're getting reasons why they were gone, how people died, how they came back. No, not yet, but we might get that soon. The trick is that Lois Lane knew when Montoya didn't. That isn't going to bode well. Now we got to know what happened there. Let's talk about number 5 on this list. It's kind of what I've been alluding to the entire time. This is essentially a dustpan comic book. Now, I don't know that anybody else has ever used that term before, and I did have to make that up specifically for this issue, but we've seen plenty of dustpan comic books before, right? There's all sorts of crazy crap happening in other comic books, and since people like Bendis, people like whomever, have made a big mess, and they don't want to actually clean up their own mess, they say, hey, company that I work for, why don't you have somebody write a book where they're basically cleaning up these things? Here's some of my ideas, you know, bang, 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 bang. Or here's some of the things that I messed up. Could you please go and just fix these things in another comic book? And Greg Rucka gets the unfortunate task of cleaning up some of those things. Now, some of those things don't really have to be cleaned up, and they sure as hell don't need a dustpan comic book made by, or made with Lois Lane. I just don't see that. I don't see that. I don't want to see messes cleaned up in a comic book that I'm paying good money for. Now, like I said, I love the political aspect of the comic book. If you want to see your own candidate that you're rooting for, you know, your party that you're rooting for, if you're seeing your own candidate getting blasted in this, be my guest. But let's be realistic. The guys who loved Obama are like, this comic book is rude to my guy. The people who love Trump are like, this comic book is rude to my guy. When they say the White House does bad things, it's every single White House. Get out of your feelings, dude. This book, when they start talking the politics, when they start talking about some of the crazy things that are happening, when they're basically showing that Lois Lane is that person who holds the politicians' feet to the fire, nerdgasm. Because that's exactly what Lois Lane should be. I want to see her going at it with Perry, trying to get something that she did published. And Perry saying, nah, the people who run this company are going to get, really mad at this. And I'm the one who's going to have to deal with it. So no, I can't let you do it. But if you do this and this, then maybe I can publish a story. So she goes out and she one-ups him. That's my Lois Lane. Bah, 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 bah. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see, oh, John, you're naked. Thank you for helping me put on my clothes since I decided to hop in the shower and bang your dad. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see Lois Lane, like later on she's going to have to deal with the idea, Clark has just outed himself as Superman. And I've got to deal with the ramifications of that. I don't want to see that when it shows up. I really just don't care. I don't care. On a Lois Lane comic book, I don't want to think about freaking Superman in this. Not in this, okay? When Lois Lane shows up in the Action Comics, that's awesome, because it's Action Comics. Let's just leave Superman to his own comic book, right? I don't really need to see Lois Lane popping up very often, at least, in a Justice League comic book. That's not what that comic book was created for. But this is a Lois Lane comic book where we just don't really need to see, in my opinion, we don't need to see Superman popping up talking about, my world, I'm having an existential crisis. Taste the back of my kryptonite fist. Dude, what's the matter with you? Grow a pair. My God, man. Here's this regular human being who's going out trying to yell at politicians and be like, you're corrupt. And that's what I want to see. Her breaking these amazing stories that are like, wow. If we needed to make this into a dustpan comic book, fine. Go around and clean up the mess of all these other people. But I don't need to see these other people necessarily in the book. I just need to see them cleaning up the mess. Let's see, make this book like a damage control book. You remember that from the Marvel Comics also? Make this like one of the damage control books. Oh my God, some crazy stuff happened over here. A building got destroyed. We got to go and clean this up. Oh, look, we found some stuff, and a crazy adventure happens. Let her go and investigate this stuff, because that's what she does. I don't. Of all the places in the world to have Lois Lane be okay with John going off into the future, how about you make it in the book where that's actually happening? Because it's just a waste of space as far as I'm concerned in this book. I just want to see Lois kicking ass, taking names, literally writing down the names, then outing them, doxing them. I'm done. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.